Victoria 3! I'll admit, controversial. I know.
Wait, DLC too expensive. Wait, DLC is bad. Water system bad. Diplomacy bad.
There we go. We got it all out of my system. All right, we're all out of our system now. Comment below any more you've got. All right, let's actually talk about the video now. Let's talk about the exploits of Victoria 3. And this is not here to bash the game and pick it apart and say it's bad. I like showing exploits. It's one of my things I do. I'm feedback gaming, all right? I love exploits, all right? So I thought I'd show a bunch of Victoria 3 exploits you guys might enjoy playing. It might inspire you to play the game more. That was the reason for this video. One common thing you have trouble with in Victoria 3 is infamy. This is probably the least functional exploit, put it that way. So we'll do something that is controversial. Let's look at our laws and we'll do something that may cause a bit of a ruckus. So we'll look for a law that's pretty unpopular. Autocracy, just take away voting. Yeah, we'll go for that. However, this will cause a revolution. Revolution bad, right? And it will cause our nation to uprise. But there is like a little bit of a trick to this that allow you to get around the infamy system. So for instance, we're going to use a console command here for a few of these just to make it a little bit easier for ourselves. What we're basically going to do is conquer a few states from Britain. So this is going to cause a massive 35 infamy and then another 35 infamy. If we conquer another state, we'll conquer the Midlands and then we'll conquer Jamaica. And this will give us a total infamy of 79. So that's pretty bad. That limits our diplomatic power. It hinders our ability to put people into our customs unions. So it does severely limit our capabilities as a nation. Here's the however. Infamy is not permanent. And there is an exploit to remove all of your infamy. Now, I'll be honest with you. It's a little bit situational. There might be instances where using it is probably not the best use of your nation as a whole. But I thought I'd just show it off as a part of this video just for the memes and the giggles. So let's just presume we go to war with Britain and we end up in a war where we completely dumpster them. Boom, we win the war and we have conquered all of this territory. Oh man, we're amazing. And we have gained a massive amount of infamy. Now, if you were to go over 100 infamy, you'll get cut you down to size reasons for war, which are particularly really bad, but you can kind of in a way use them to your advantage in a situation where you were looking to grind against those players and pull war reps from them, particularly if you are in a great power state and you're top 8, because in that situation you have the ability to exert quite a lot of power. So the autocracy thing is not working the way I thought. I thought it would be starting a revolution, but it's really not. So I need to find another law that will do that. Once again, it's just all about trying to cause a revolution. That's all I really want, and cause a civil war. So in this case, we're going to try and go for a technocracy. Is this going to upset people enough? It has. It has really pissed them off, and it's caused the interest groups to create a total amount of 113 radicalism, and over 100 allows the civil war to actually kick off. Oh, that law unfortunately backed down and we're not able to progress that law anymore. We're going to find another one. Trust me, we'll find a law, I guarantee you. For the most part, revolutions are kind of easy to work with at the moment. And one of the reasons they're easy to work with is because you get lots of events where you can reduce the overall civil war and reduce radicalism as well. So getting rid of the monarchy obviously is incredibly unpopular in France because French loves their monarchs. And now we're going to try and get as much points as we can for a revolution. The revolution is here. Boom! The nation has splintered. Now, remember, this was an unbelievably unpopular decision to try and form a parliamentary republic as France. So all of the interest groups, all of the military, and practically all of our nation as a whole has sided with the opposing side, leaving us in a situation where we're just going to get absolutely demolished. Look, 76 total battalions versus 120. Plus, if you were to go for all the conscripts, this will create an absolutely eye-watering amount of army size. This is a civil war we can't win on our own. However, something very interesting has happened now. A new nation has been born. And that new nation is called, what's it called? French Orleanist Revolt. Amazing. But we do have an option with the diplomatic play to click this button, switch sides. And it just does it simply that. Your nation ceases to exist. Well, apart from it gets given to the AI, put it that way. And then you start as a brand new nation, which is the opposing side on the civil war. So you basically join the winning side. And get this, your infamy has been wiped. So 80 infamy, which could take realistically about 5 to 10 years, if not more in game, to slowly get rid of. If you were to fire a fake civil war like the one I've just done right now, and then win it, because you will win it, because the opposing side is going to win it anyway, you're in a situation where you can wipe the entirety of your infamy. Downside to this, though, it does kind of reset everything in your nation. If you've got used to your production laws, a lot of time you're going to have to reset those up again, which is kind of click intensive. But in this instance, you have the ability to completely wipe every single spot of infamy from your nation as a whole. So it is situational. Infamy is not always a problem. However, if you're in a situation where you're able to fire a civil war where it will oppose the opposite side and you can switch sides, in that instance, you'll be in a state where you can dumpster the other side and wipe away every single point of infamy. And that is the infamy wiping exploit. Now, win the civil war and you are Gucci. Someone else in the chat has just suggested a way of gaming the exploit even more. Before you switch sides, downgrade all the military in the nation you were before, and that will cause them to have to change it back, which will suffer a massive attack and defense penalty for all their army. That's actually a really good suggestion. If they do put up a fight, which they probably will a little bit, you can stack the dice towards yourself to give yourself a bigger push. All right, this is probably the most popular exploit that's been around since the release of the game, and I don't think they're going to look into this until they rework some of the war systems. I know, war system So you're in a situation where you have a navy, and what you need to do with this navy is create multiple fleets where you divide the navy multiple times. Ideally, the more stacks you create overall and the more naval invasions you make, the higher chance overall you have of this succeeding. There's no way around this, really. This allows you to conquer territory that would normally be out of your reach using the naval invasion mechanics. Now, it works more effectively for islands, but nothing's stopping you from using it against land force if you just want to go around the front line, and most of the time you can do that, and it is pretty effective. All right, so once again, we're trying to conquer the home countries, which are very lucrative for production wise. Boom, and we are going to invade that said region. We are playing Spain here, so this is going to be a little bit of reach. You are going to be limited by your overall army size, so be aware of that. Most of the cases, you want to try and boost your overall army size, but this is going to show you how to make a successful naval invasion, and most of the time, 99% of the time, it is incredibly effective, and it does work. Mobilize the boyos. And military wages are a thing. And boom, a war between Britain and also Spain. We have an unbelievably smaller fleet in comparison, as well as their army size generally is very large as well. So the dice is stacked towards us here. But this is the beauty of this exploit. It allows you to make a naval invasion, and in most cases, it is a successful way of grabbing land pretty easily from a nation who has an island. Once again, it works really well on land armies as well. It doesn't have to be a navy. It just has access to the coast. So we'll go home countries. We'll make a naval invasion here. Next one, we're going to make another naval invasion here, and then we'll make a 3 naval invasion. It does work with 2. However, the success rate is less. I think it's about 99% if it's 3 navies. But if it's just the 2, the chance is probably less so, depending on the overall strength of your overall navy. The beauty of this is you don't really need a strong navy to actually do this. So it'll take 3 weeks for this to engage. And what will happen here, your fleet will try and do 3 naval invasions at once. One will get caught by the enemy navy. The second will get caught by the land-based army. And the third one will just be able to land without any resistance. Will it happen the way I want it to? And one's got caught. The second one is attacking on land, and then we got the land we wanted immediately. There you go, and you just conquered. You now have a foothold into Britain to push your forces will. Now, I get you. This is not a one war. Remember, with Spain, we're not very strong overall, but right now you have a foothold on the British Islands, so you have the potential now to stack loads of damage and be unbelievably destructive towards the British, and overall, it's going to give you a massive chance of winning the war overall. Oh, it's a weird front line now, but you get the gist of where this is going, right? The first one gets intercepted by the enemy navy. The second one gets intercepted by the land-based army. And then the third one will instantly land, on most time, 99% of the time, instantly take the territory that you've landed onto. And you can rinse and repeat that in different areas over and over and over again. And it's a really great way of pushing your overall goals. Are we going to win this one now? By the looks of things, probably not. Oh no, we pocketed. The pocket of Spain. And that is the naval invasion exploit. Particularly effective for the great powers at the very start of the game to land into Britain. If you are France and you want to become unbelievably broken, just grab Britain at the very start of the game and you are going to be fat as F. All right, this is a bit of a small exploit, this one, but I really like this one because I use this quite frequently, and it's just it's basically the wages switch. This one doesn't need a lot of explanation because I think for the impact is relatively small. If you're an authority-based nation, which most are at the very start of the game, you can spend your authority as you see fit. Nice and easy. Spend that authority on consumer goods, consumer taxes. And then if you want to get another 100 authority to use it either for an edict or if you want to use it for more consumption taxes, what you can do is just this little glitch. So usually you want your taxes to be low for your government wages and military wages just so you can make the most money from your construction and grow your GDP. But what you can do is just do the little switch, pop up to high wages, which gives you a 10% extra authority, which now I've got an extra 100. Pop it onto wine. And then drop it low again. So you're making the most money and you take advantage of the most authority. That does put you in the red for your authority, which has these penalties. But if you're below by like 50 to 100 authority, it's such a small amount, it's not even worth worrying about. But it's a really nice, easy way of farming just a little bit extra authority, which can make a lot of difference, really. Because at the end of the day, this wine is giving us an extra 6K revenue, I believe, every week, which is enough to pay for one extra construction sector. So I get the terminology right. Not a biggie, but it's quite useful for mid-max in the game. And taking advantage of extra authority, which can go a long, long way, particularly at the very start of the game. These are game mechanics. And there is a part of me deep down inside that says, is this kind of an exploit? Is this really an exploit? You are kind of using the mechanics. I guess this would be classed as, instead of an exploit, it would be something like a gamey mechanic. It like sits somewhere in between exploit and pro mid-maxing. It's like a gamey mechanic. And what you have the ability to do is switch laws and force civil wars in situations, particularly with smaller nations, to force your nation towards being the nation you want. So, example, at the very start of the game, one of the best government principles is parliamentary republic. You have like 100% of legitimacy for a very long period. It is a really good law. But of course, if you try and pass this, everyone's going to hate it in the Netherlands. But the beautiful thing about the Netherlands is you're a very, very small nation. So you have full control of basically most of the production inside of the nation. So what you want to do is, most of the time when you fire a civil war, you have control of the capital region, where the rest of it will be handed to everyone else. So you hop into this area and dismantle all of the barracks. There's no barracks apart from in the capital region. Boom, max that baby out. Now we know an upcoming civil war is happening. It's going to happen. It's going to come. So we're going to max out the amount of construction potential we are going to have in our capital. There we go. The revolution has started, and it is going to be a critical one that will actually fire a civil war. So right now we're in the absolute right position, and we're doing our absolute best to build up our military in our capital. So therefore, we actually have a reasonable fighting force. I'll admit, probably giving it maybe an extra month or two at the very beginning to build those barracks up in your capital is probably going to be advantageous, because I've kind of rushed into this really quickly. But overall, I think you can still pull this off without needing to do that. There we go. We're building our barracks now. Boom, boom, boom. Maxed out the laws. And then we're building up the total potential for our army size in the capital. Build those construction sectors. And now we have a civil war. And it's gone exactly how I thought it would have gone. Capital gets handed to us, where the rest of the land gets handed to everyone else. Now, this has done two things. Now, our chance of passing this law has gone through the roof. The armed forces love this. But simultaneously, if you look at the interest groups, they're all sided towards pro-government side, where the marginalized ones are all the opposing ones. As you can see here, the petite bourgeoisie, landowners, the church, and the trade unions are all downsized massively. So you not only have the ability to pass this law, which is more likely to pass, but also on top of that, more laws in future until these interest groups become kind of normalized as such. So we'll do that now. We're going to activate the battalions, rise the conscripts, hire myself a decent boyo, promote him up, mobilize, get him on the front line. And more than likely in this position, you're going to find yourself with a superior size army as you get more overall battalions. So as you can see in this circumstance, because we control the capital, we've got the most barracks. As you can see in this situation, we're able to field a 3 times larger army size than we can to the opposition. And then we eventually go to war, and you can see every battle that we engage in, we absolutely dumps to them. The numerical advantage obviously destroys everything. In this case, the war has already been won. Before you even blinked, before you even missed it, it's done. Whoa, 60% chance to increase. Damn, 100% chance of passing the law. Amazing. We do more government wages, which gives us more legitimacy. It takes us to the next one, which increases loyalists. To be honest, we want the last one. The last one, and gives us the extra enactment time. And of course, authority helps out with that as well. Don't need the extra barracks now. As you can see, initially after winning the Civil War, all the interest groups are completely pushed down and they're non-existent now, but they will very slowly gain traction and build up again. So just be aware of that. If you want to pass your laws, you want to pass them right now, and that gives you a really good state. So I'll admit, this is most advantageous when you're playing with a nation that is relatively small, Belgium, Netherlands. You could probably even get away with it with Prussia and Sweden as well. Once again, we might need a little bit of min-maxing, a little bit of tweaking to make sure you get get the right amount of army size to be able to pull it off. But just be aware that's probably the medium-sized nation. Nations like Austria or France, or definitely Russia and Qing, you're never going to be able to pull this off. So it is definitely an advantage to like get a massive head start on the rest of the world by passing a government that's going to give you all the legitimacy straight on. To be fair, you're in a situation, oh, look at that, passed it all the way through. Boom! A parliamentary republic. The Netherlands is no longer a monarchy. And now you end up with a situation now, whenever you pick a government, you're most than likely going to be 90 to 100 legitimacy. In this case, we've gone to the RAS bracket. In this case, we can probably completely get rid of the church faction. And once again, the armed forces are leading the charge with this. They are a positivist. Well, there you go. That explains that. Boom! State. Atheism. And that is how easy it is to pass laws now, because you have full unbelievable control. So this is an opportunity to really reach forward and put the interest groups in charge that you want in charge. In this case, like homesteading, of course you don't want that as part of your nation, because it gives a load of control to the rural folk. And for instance, if you want to neuter the military faction, you can do that as well. But right now, I think they hold a lot of power. They have all the power. This is practically a military junta for the most part. We missed the technology to do universal suffrage. But once again, universal suffrage gives you access to the trade unions really early on, and also the petite bourgeoisie that can obviously push your agenda in whatever direction you want to go. But look at it, it's 1938 right now. We have state atheism, and we also have a parliamentary republic, which is probably one of the best governments in the game. So that is a mad exploit for those smaller nations. And last, but definitely not least, I love this one so much. This is one of my favorite exploits, this one, because I think for the most part, it's not really OP. It's just kind of funny. So you start the game in 1936. Now, this also does work with Japan to a certain degree. If you want to force a nation towards a different political direction. An example is banning slavery. That's one. The one is forcing the borders open for free trade. Anyway, you start the game as the United States and you really upset Britain. Just piss off Britain. Britain, we hate you, Britain. We hate you. I mean, Americans hating Britain. That's not new, right? And then now you've pissed off Britain, you can now transfer, you can liberate subject. Well, either way works. Transfer subject for Britain. Now, this is a war we can't win, but that's totally okay because we don't want to win it. And if you look really closely, our demands is to transfer New Brunswick to America to become our vassal. If you look at their demands, they want to ban slavery. So, what does that mean? It means, as the United States, you can completely get rid of slavery at the very start of the game and completely get rid of the chance of a civil war for the United States. One of the big crises the Americans had was the divide between the North and South when it comes down to slavery. Be aware, I've tested this a few times, and it doesn't work if you back down. For some reason, the law won't pass. But then if you go to war with them, and then you instantly say, capitulate, I can't win this. Slavery has been banned. And then if you go the full 10 years of having slavery banned, the events and all the downsides of having the southern planters having political control has been completely overridden. Be aware, you've got rid of slavery. The southern planters are going to be a little bit annoyed to begin with, but don't worry about it. For the most part, you can ride this storm and not cause an actual civil war, so you're going to be totally Gucci. You'll be totally fine. I believe in you. And be aware that if you are a closed nation on isolationism, which there aren't many of those, but I know Japan has, you can like force a war against Russia, and they sometimes, not always, but sometimes will request on their side to open the borders, which moves you from isolationism. Yeah, once again, not super practical, but definitely very, very amusing. Victoria 3 obviously isn't the content everyone's into. I get that part. But if you're into that kind of content, let me loud in the comments. Let me know. And this lets me know to make more of this kind of content. Like and subscribing is the best way of doing that. And if you're enjoying Feedback IRL, try this video. This might be right up your alley and it might be perfect for you. I love it. I'll see you soon.